Moving ahead with our next panel discussion on AI/ML powered DevOps, merging edge computing with multi-cloud strategies and legacy system for reliability. Please join me in welcoming our moderator, Dr. Kapil Singhal, Vice President, Data and Analytics at Vodafone Idea Limited. Can we have a big round of applause for Mr. Kapil? Dr. Kapil Singhal is an experienced analytics, data, and business intelligence leader with 21 plus years of demonstrated history of working in multiple industries, skilled in BI platforms, advanced analytics, AI, ML, and cloud solutions, specializing in influencing data-driven culture. As a VP and head of the data and analytics practice at Vodafone, he lead the practice of analytics, AI, ML, data science. Also partnering the vision of Vodafone to implement generative AI by implementing the first telecom LLM and enabling the data as a service over a zettabyte of data lakehouse. With this, I would like to introduce our following panelist. Mr. Ashish Jadhav, Senior Vice President and Head of Technology at Jio Platforms Limited. Mr. Vijay Kumar, President and CTO at Xanadu. Mr. Abdulla Pathan, Senior VP Head of Solutions at LearningMate Solution Private Limited. Mr. Mukesh Jain, CTO Executive Vice President at Capgemini. Mr. Raj Dogra, Chief Information Officer at upGrad. Can we have a big round of applause for the moderator and all our panelists? I would request everyone to please be on the dais. I would request the moderator to please go ahead with the session.
Thank you very much. What's a way or what's a time to start this session? We have heard a lot of things from our partners that how DevOps is getting modernized. And after having such a, I would say, the networking break, it's a good time to start this session. Whatever our partners has presented seems to be a very, I would say, that informative and knowledgeable sessions over there. But now it's a time to hear senior management and all. That's a kind of reality on which we are working it upon. Now, with this session over there, with respect to that, nowadays we are working in a kind of multi-cloud environment. Now it has been changed to, I would say, the multi-cloud to the hybrid environment over there. And now we are on the part of cloud, I would say that edge computing also that we are looking into that. And in this particular scenario, we can say the traditional DevOps method is getting outdated. AI/ML, I would say that charity begins at home. We are making AI/ML to be the part of individual lives. We are developing applications for that. So why don't we use it for ourselves as well? That's how, so that we can give our customer a better experience. If we can see that better experience at ourselves, then our customer will definitely get that better experience as well. So with that particular thing, I am going to turn over to Ashish into that particular part over there, since Ashish is leading the Jio platform over there, and he is a Senior Vice President into that part. Maybe Ashish, if you can just help us in letting us know that how AI/ML powered DevOps is helping us in increasing the efficiency of our applications that we are providing it to the customers and all those things. Also, if we are using AI/ML into this DevOps part over there, how can we ensure that we can increase, or we can say that optimize? There are two parts over there, how we can deploy the application or how we can maintain the application over that. So if we are using this AI/ML powered algorithms into that, how those kind of stuff helps in optimizing as well as maintaining and deployment to be quick, faster into that. If you can throw some light into that part, it will be great.
Thank you, Doctor. Can you hear me? Right. So I am Ashish Jadhav. I serve as Senior Vice President and Director of Architecture and Technology with Reliance Industries Limited, Digital Business Group, Jio Platforms Limited. So now I would like to break down the questions into three subsets. First was AI/ML powered DevOps. The second subset question was for edge computing, and the third kind of the summary of the agenda was multi-cloud strategy. Okay. So now let us talk about AI ML powered DevOps. Okay, so what we do exactly, right? So we introduce system of intelligence. Okay, so what is this system of intelligence? To outcome-based intelligence DevOps. Okay, so in intelligence DevOps, the kind of advantage compared to the traditional DevOps, what you get an augmented software development lifecycle. Okay, faster go-to-market, and also you get a very AI ops kind of observability platform and a very centralized DevOps which is powered by AI ML, right? And you get a greater customer experience and very quality software deliverables. Okay, so how this happens? So in a traditional way of DevOps, you people must have used Selenium, right, for automation testing. But now everything is an intelligence DevOps. Okay, what we do, we embed machine learning algorithms, we embed generative AI, right? So all kind of LLM models. So now the tools like Selenium, okay, they can be integrated with the AML powered tools like Headspin, okay, Deep Code. So what exactly happens? Okay, so earlier was kind of very traditional approach, pass fail. Now the intelligence approach is automatically the tools create the kind of the testing use cases for you based on the user stories, based on the user functional requirement, right? And also it executes, and after execution, it also provides you recommendations, right? So it is a full cycle. So what this tools does, okay, they provide separate connector, so you can do kind of user experience testing. They have access to the page level elements. They can actually go and see the rendering of the videos, the buffering of the videos, okay. Kind of, they can also see the throughput of the page and the latency of the page. Also, they can do threat detection, security assessment, okay, and they are very DevOps enabled tools. So these all about very intelligent DevOps platform, and so you people must be you must be working in a very core DevOps kind of environment, right? So you use a Sonar Cube within your DevOps pipeline. Okay, so with Sonar Cube, if you integrate a deep code or test.ai, right? So what that does, it doesn't do only the static code analysis. Okay, it has a symbolic AI kind of model. What that symbolic AI kind of model does? Okay, so actually it crawls the code and it will validate the business rules validations, right? For example, if you are using rules for your business rules and validation, so it can go and it can scan the business rules and validations, right? And also it does assessment, and also it provides a recommendation. Then come Git's repo, like there is a lot of merge conflict because we are also highly a distributed team, so multiple developers work with the same code base kind of repo. Okay, so there are a lot of merge conflict. So now the AI models, the merge-BERT, Code GPT or resolve.ai, right? Automatically they recommend you to resolve the merge conflict. Okay, so then there are other tools. There are a lot of deployment failure because we in telecom, there are large scale deployment. There is entire ecosystem. There are multiple heterogeneous platform, right? We want to deploy in a unified manner. So there are a lot of deployment because each system is dependent on other platforms. So there are tools like Harness, right? So which you can include within your DevOps pipeline, and it can predict the deployment success. Okay, so entire the intelligent DevOps, okay, so it is very tightly integrated using AI ML models. Then comes the second question, how this can be done into edge computing, right? So edge computing, how many of you know about the edge computing, right? So this mobile device is also edge device, right? And all kind of IoT ecosystem. So you do a smart home kind of IoT sensor deployment, or a smart city, or renewable energy, or precision farming. So they are very tiny devices, right? So they are tiny devices, so there is very less bandwidth requirement, and also there are very less resources. But everything you need to do at the end of the edge network. What you mean by end of the edge network? You do the processing of the data on the edge devices, because you need a real-time insights. If it is a traffic camera, right? So you need to detect the image, you need to recognize the object. Okay, so everything you need to do on a real-time basis. So on a tiny devices, running so much of AI/ML models. Okay, so sometimes it is very complex situation. You need to integrate IoT edge. What IoT edge? It extends the cloud computing to the edge devices, right? So you can actually create a workload containerization, very tiny containerization, and deploy. You can deploy on this edge computing, and you can run all the algorithms. So all the real-time insights you can do within the edge, and whatever the meaningful insights or the data analytics parts you can integrate with IoT edge hub. Okay, so it follows MTQQ protocol, right? Messaging, telemetry, queuing protocol. So from cloud to device, from device to cloud, so two-way communication. So you can do the entire telemetry, you can do the entire data analytics using AI/ML models. And also, you can use a lot of Azure or AWS provided very managed platforms. Okay, for example, IoT Central, IoT Edge Centrals, etc. So they are very managed development platform. You can integrate those ID with Eclipse, JetBrains, or any Visual Studio Code, etc. And you can manage the entire development life cycle. Then the third was a multi-cloud strategy, right? So again, see the edge devices, they are in millions. Okay, so if you see, they are deployed in very decentralized and very distributed environment. Okay, so on the roads or very at the remote places. So the real-time insights you may run on the edge devices, but you may need those insights. Okay, to do some kind of data analytics, some kind of predictions, right? So how to do parallel processing, distribution processing, kind of migrating those data insights into multi-cloud environment. Maybe there are multiple service provider, cloud providers. So maybe you can identify somebody to do observability, somebody to refine AI/ML model, right? Some cloud to create the AI/ML insights. So everything is a parallel processing, right? So this is how this entire ecosystem works. And you need to have that unified experience, central DevOps and central observability.
That's great. That's great. Even Ashish has taken the name of so many softwares during his last 10 minutes. It's hard to remember that what kind of things has to be used at what places over there. Right from GitHub to deployment, right to come into the IoT platform over there, multi-cloud strategy and all. It's really an insightful thing that how we can manage the kind of diversified team who is working on the same kind of application across the geographies over there, and yet to make them the kind of one single team into that particular. And that can only be possible if something can be monitored, as his last point was, that can be monitored in a very kind of centralized environment over there, centralized observability over there, because you cannot throw your eyes outside in a kind of regional views, but yes, centralized view can always give a kind of glimpse of what is going across different geographies, across your development team, across your applications and all those things. And your observability will give a kind of insight. If it is not AI/ML empowered, then definitely there could be the scope that you may miss, and there could be the mission critical application which may have a kind of hit into that particular part and which will hit the whole ecosystem over there. Thank you, Ashish, for giving us such a kind of valuable insight. Now shifting the gears to Mukesh. Mukesh is there from the Capgemini, and he is, I would say, that technology enabler for most of our organization who are on the, I would say, that captive side over there. So he's getting a vast experience into that part. Mukesh, I would like to understand from you that what are the challenges which is getting faced by most of the organization once they say that, okay, you have to integrate with some of the legacy application with, I would say, that AI/ML powered modern DevOps applications that we are going to have it. So what are the challenges that is faced by the organization, and maybe in your experience you might have helped them or you might come across that how they overcome from that particular part. Can you throw some insights upon that part, Mukesh?
Sure. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. As part of my role currently at Capgemini as a CTO, one of the things which we get engaged about, if any of the projects they run into issue, we get involved there. But specifically DevOps, because that's near and dear to my heart, considering I've done the first type of DevOps, even the DevOps name was not there in the year 1999 when I was working for Microsoft in US. Coming back to your question, the primary challenge people are facing in integrating with this DevOps is data. Right? The structured data, the clean data, right? So yes, there are a lot of people using their own stuff, but as simple as what check-in notes which people put in to be able to do, even in CI/CD, right? A lot of those things are very, very, I would say, unstructured. When I say of constructor, we always argue that, oh, we have NLP, we can understand. No, it's not that easy. So different ways of checking in and different frequency and everything actually leads to a lot of chaos. And we were already talking about merging and everything. So if I'm writing a code, if I have a certain style of writing the code, and I expect the incoming code to take care of everything, so I don't have to worry about my error checks and everything, compared to when I'm passing on to somebody and I'm even assuming the same thing, that somebody else will take care of the error checking and all. That doesn't happen that way, right? You need to have a good right protocols and everything. So first part, I call it measurement standards, right? So what are we capturing? What are the standards? What are the coding standards are there? How are we measuring it? Like measuring based on the data part of it. Second part comes in with the machine learning part. How I be able to see the check-in failures? How I can see the build breaks? And then able to build a model around that so that we can prevent that from happening going forward. So let me take you back about 25 years back. I newly joined Microsoft 1999 in US, and I see that getting a build out takes 1 month. 1 month is quite a long time, right? Considering a team of 400 people, everybody checking in the frequency which they want at their choice. And I'm at the part wherein I was looking at this, wait a minute, why 1 month? It's too much, right? So then let me look into that. Failures all across. Everywhere there's a failure, and getting a build because too many things are happening. The whole development team stands still to build that build. Now, what was the thing? The only thing I thought was machine learning, and of course, at that time, 1999, very few people even talked about machine learning. Forget about AI. So when I talked about that, people said, "No, this is not possible. This is the product we are building. Nobody in the world does that, so it's okay to have that." So I said, "No, let's start with the basic part. If I'm making a check-in, there should be a small build created to be able to see whether my build is passing or not." That's so easy, done. But then when we started doing BBT, build verification test, and that time they realized that, having the 2-3 use cases, 2-3 test cases where people can agree about whether this is passing or not. Okay? But then the developers started rejecting it. No, it will take 2 hours for my check-in. I said, that's better than having 1 month build. So my target was to get a build done in 1 month, 1 day, 1 month to 1 day. Definitely it was a failure. I was not able to do that. After 3 months of rigorous effort, we were able to bring it out to 3 days. Was better than 1 month, right? 30 days to 3 days. And then slowly after a couple of iterations, happy to say after about 9 months, we were able to bring it down to 4 hours. Getting a build done in 4 hours because the build was getting created everything. Of course, with the cost of huge number of servers and so on. But once we started optimizing, become better. 4 things made it happen. First one was having coding standards. People will follow all of those. Second, having a rhythm. That yes, this kind of things will happen. Every weekend the build will get created. What will be a process? Everything was understood and decided. Third, capturing data. Capturing data, everything. We used to have a hall of fame, but then we added one more thing, hall of shame. The person who was breaking the build the most will be called out. But more important that it was a machine learning. Able to understand, capture the data to find out the patterns of build failures, patterns of why it was happening and so on. And the fourth part, which was most important part, while coding, can we do a prompt? You might have seen some of you who are coding in the year 99, 2000, 2001. Visual Studio started giving you prompts that you might want to do this part. This was the main output from here using Pokayoke technique, which was used normally in manufacturing to prevent mistakes from happening. And big push in Microsoft in the year 2000, so everything what we do, can we apply Pokayoke? Wherein we not allow mistakes to happen, including the classic problem in C language, where equal to is there, how to do, whether it's a logical statement or assignment statement. So preventing those mistakes going forward, and that's how a lot of the DevOps have evolved at Microsoft over those. And the same learning we are able to apply at several clients of Capgemini, wherein we are able to do this part to prevent those happening. And the big portion of that is machine learning, capturing the data and able to find the patterns of failure and then preventing those from happening.
So how do you suggest that even none of the organization in today's environment, if they are running for quite longer period of time, they definitely have a kind of legacy application. You can't outdate few of them. Yeah, you can modernize them, but you can't outdate them over there. Establishing a kind of linkage between, I would say that if we say that, okay, let's have an architecture from monolithic to microservices and all those things that we are talking about. But still, if we are having a kind of modern DevOps or CI/CD part over there, that is where we are deploying in a kind of minutes or hours over there, but the legacy application remains the legacy application over there. Even that organization doesn't have much time to modernize that, but even they can't live without that as well. So what do you think that, what should be the strategies that somebody should adopt, whether they need to go with the kind of modernization part over there, or if they continue with the same strategy, what could be the challenges and what could be the outcomes that they need to face it upon on that?
Sure, just to add to that point. So when if you notice that in my session, I didn't talk about CI/CD,
Yes.
right? The main part was CI/CD, going for microservice-based architectures, all good for new application and for advanced applications.
Yes.
But legacy application does not work.
Yes.
So going back to the basics and the fundamentals about what all you are doing, right? What are the rules you have? What are the set of task cases you have to find regressions and so on. Now, even there, right? Once you have a, because about 40% of my projects at my company are legacy applications. So still, we cannot live away with that for another 10 years, right? So in those cases, those still fundamental comes back to there, right? Having the right set of basics part. But when I'm using machine learning, it's using outside the system. So it doesn't affect the system, but the check-in system where we are doing it, that's why we use machine learning to be able to find and predict. And I can tell you the failures and outages after any release have drastically gone down, more than 90% down, based on some of those parts we are doing. We are able to predict that these kind of issues normally happen when this kind of change happen in those modules. So we have the modules where we have the rates, where this module is a lot more complex, and making any change in this module will have more defects compared to other modules. Those level we are able to achieve, again, through machine learning as well. So now AI has been used to do more prescriptive. At some point, we are planning to go for predictive. We have done some POC with predictive. It works. Wherein we are able to say, you know what, don't change this module. If you are changing this module, have these 200 test cases more tested rigorously. And that's the part about model-based testing, what we implement to be able to see the multiple routes, multiple paths it can take. So yeah, it's slightly more, I would say, in-depth when we're doing it for the legacy system, because that cannot be automated towards greater extent.
Nice statement when he says that prediction works. So that's a nice statement over there, because right now we can say that that's a future which I would say that we are predicting for AI/ML based DevOps over there, that everything should be predicted well in advance. Even with modern application, we can say that yes, it is there. But yes, we need to take the whole ecosystem into the place so that we can at least be sure that our DevOps and all those AI/ML based algos can predict that what could be the nature of failure, and we can take the relevant measures so that we can have all our application reliability in place.
Just to add that, I got into big trouble in Microsoft in 1999, 2000, where I predicted this Outlook version of 2000, which was going to go out, will have these 2 defects in this module.
Okay.
So Mukesh said, Mukesh, prove it. I said, no, I cannot prove it. It's the data, right? He said, okay, fine, Mukesh. If you know it, then find the bugs. I cannot find that bug. And we had those 3 issues, by the way, not 2. We had 3 issues in the similar module, right? So machine learning works if you do it at the right level. So just want to add that point.
Great, great. Now, shifting the gears to Vijay. Vijay is there from the real estate space over there. Now, Vijay, we have been talking about this AI/ML powered DevOps, modern DevOps, whatever the name that you can call it as over there. Now, as Mukesh has highlighted, as also I stressed it upon, that prediction works over there. Can you throw some light that if we have this modern DevOps practice in place, how can it be ensured, or how you are ensuring at your end that your application, whatever that you are having it, is having a kind of more reliability, more reliable into the space, since being at that particular, everybody wants their application to be 100% uptime over there. And definitely, do you have any kind of system in place where we can say that we can have early issue detection, whether it is with respect to modern application or legacy application, doesn't matter over that part over time. So anything which can help you, or you have some kind of use cases on that particular part, which can give us some kind of information on that?
Yeah, thanks, Kapil. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vijay Kumar, and I'm CTO at Xanadu Realty. We are into real estate sector. But we are very technologically now, Usually real estate is not considered very technology advanced, but now things are changing very fast. And in last 3 to 4 years, where I have been associated with Xanadu, we have completely implemented all the latest technology which is available in the market today. So coming to the question, uh, first of all, AI and ML is the talk of the town, and rightly so, because few times, I mean, say few years back, if somebody would have told AI is going to impact each and every industry, nobody would have believed. But now, AI and ML are getting integrated in each of the industries, and irrespective of the new ventures, startups, or the established organizations. I think Ashish and Mukesh both has covered why how things are impacting, what are the tools and technologies. I can give a few of the examples. Uh, Nowadays, few years back, every company was a digital company. Now every company is an AI company. And when you are an AI company, what are the things you do? You start early. You start with the right set of data. And data engineering is one of the core things you need to focus to kind of ensure that your DevOps process is kind of, you are building a pipeline to starting from the coding to delivery of this, right? So you have to build your CI/CD pipeline and everything. Everybody uses different platforms. Now, everybody is into different sort of clouds as well. So how you ensure that, okay, irrespective of whether you are in AWS, Azure, GCP, or other cloud platform, you ensure that your work or whatever pipeline you have built for your organization works. There, AI/ML plays a big role because DevOps responsibility is not going to change. As an DevOps engineers, if you are thinking that your responsibility, you are still responsible for any code failure or any issue which arises on your production environment or testing environment. But now, with the introduction of AI and machine learning algorithms in this whole pipeline, now you should be able to do it more proactively rather than being a reactive, in a reactive sense. So now we have all sort of technologies, tools which are available like Datadog, Harness, and there are multiple platforms which are available, which kinds of make you, helps you in kind of predicting things early. And with event of, with so much of devices, as Ashish also said, there are so many edge devices, right? So, and if you have to kind of monitor or say if you're pushing some data into doing some sort of deployment, and if you have to analyze all the complete analysis that what is where the failure happening. So you can now, by analyzing the past data, you should be able to predict that, okay, if I'm going to do this deployment, which are the areas which are going to be get affected, and you should be able to take preemptive sort of action to ensure that your whole ecosystem doesn't break down, is what I will say.
That's great because being a kind of proactive, reactive is a kind of gone are the days when we are talking of reactive approach over there. Everybody is now talking about proactive approach, and that's what we are looking forward, that how it can be a kind of proactive approach, and that can help us in mitigating the issues well in advance rather than working in a kind of firefighting mode when something got happened into this particular, anything with our application and all those things. Now we have our Raj who is there from the learning platform who teaches us that, okay, how to use different technologies and all those things. So maybe my question to Raj would be on the part of that, even which Mukesh is highlighting. I have asked about the challenges to Mukesh. Now maybe Raj, since you are developing those kind of learning platform for us, can you tell us that, okay, if we are integrating this legacy and modern AI powered applications over there, what are the potential security risks that somebody can foresee into that particular thing? And is there any way that somebody, means how we can mitigate those risks altogether? So that can help us to take a, as Vijay is mentioning about, a kind of proactive steps into that part. So can you help us in analyzing those risks or the category of those risks over there and the ways to mitigate that?
Sure. Thanks for the question. Hi, everyone. I represent upGrad. We're a skill development, workforce development organization. We've been in existence for about 10 years now. And we cater to working professionals like yourselves and students who are looking for higher studies. as far as upGrad is concerned, we've seen this situation because in the last 3 years, we acquired more than 12 companies, and we got legacy systems along with that acquisition. And we've experienced that when you're trying to connect those systems with your modern DevOps, it creates a lot of challenges. I mean, one of them is, of course, security. Now, as a EdTech, we have students coming in from various countries, I would say about 3 continents, and we collect information which could be considered PII or at times SPII as well. And it's very, very important for us to ensure that we're protecting that information. So one of the things which we've seen in legacy systems is, of course, that if you see, they don't support multiple things which are available now. So for example, not every legacy system followed encryption very, very religiously, I would say. Because if you go 10 years or 15 years back, multiple organizations who were following security very effectively were the larger organizations only. And if there was small companies, I don't think that they paid so much of attention to security. So if you look at legacy systems, encryption is one thing which was missing. Not everyone was really following that. If you look at single sign-on, not every system offered that. If you look at multi-factor authentication, ensuring that your data is encrypted in transit, in when you in store or yeah, so those things did not exist, or even if they existed, people did not really follow them. If I talk about upGrad, what we have done when we connected some of our systems, so for example, when we acquired an organization, they had an LMS. That LMS was running on a legacy system, and we were concerned that if we were sharing that database with our system without encrypting the data or ensuring that it is fully protected, we may have challenges. So what we did was we created a wrapper which ensured that the entire data was encrypted, and we also anonymized the data so that we can run ML or AI, whatever we wanted to, in order to understand the data very well. The other things which we've seen, especially with legacy systems, is that, of course, if you're running something which is pretty older, you're quite vulnerable to security risks as well. Attackers can get into your systems. You may get hacked as well. So some of the things which we've done in order to solve all this is, one, we are, of course, using some of the tools like Terraform, Ansible, making sure that we are able to do the deployments, automate the deployments. We are able to identify if there are any vulnerabilities in the system or if there are any anomalies in the system, so that we can take some actions. These are some of the things which we've done. Yeah, I would stop here.
Great, great. Maybe same, I would say that moving on to Abdulla, onto that part. Abdulla, I think Raj has mentioned about few of the risk over there pertaining to encryption and all those things over there. But yes, the question would be that, okay, these are the security risk over there. Maybe if you can help us in understanding the ways to mitigate that security risk that we are having it dealing with that particular part. Along with that, I also want you to touch base upon that particular part over there, that once we are dealing with legacy and modern AI ML powered application over there, how we can use this modern DevOps or AI or ML based algorithms over there so that we can ensure the kind of workload management between these two applications into that part. So can you help us in understanding these two aspects over there? One is, I would say, elaborating what Raj has mentioned, and second, that how you can distribute the workloads that would be there into that.
Thanks. Okay. First of all, I just want to extend what actually Raj and Mukesh actually. Is it audible? Hello? Yeah. So Mukesh has mentioned about the legacy. So I won't actually start with the first statement, which is about legacy. What do you mean by legacy? Okay. If I look at legacy specifically from an AI, ML, DevOps perspective, I think we need to think the systems which actually are not able to support this, we should call them as legacy systems. Okay. So when actually we say what is required to be a AI, ML, DevOps ready system, okay. First of all, if you take a look at most of the application which has been developed, so first thing actually when we call legacy, one thing is coming to mind which is actually a old code, maybe .NET code, okay, or actually on-prem code, okay. But I will actually categorize that the code or the application which has been built very specifically which is not API ready, specifically which to do the integration. Second, which is not actually ready for an automation, okay, so that actually I can implement the automation as a part of it, as well as the system which actually having the data in silos, okay, or the data which actually is not specifically in a defined format which actually can be exchanged with other systems. At the same time, is actually my current system is ready for defining the CI/CD pipeline correctly or not, okay. Last part, if you take a look at, which is about your security and compliances. As actually I work specifically with the LearningMate, we work in the US and UK geography, okay, and specifically in a K-12 and higher ed. When you actually come to the K-12 business, okay, it is more predominantly delivered to the government education institutions, because as you know, most of the education in US and UK in a K-12 is a public education. And they are more concerned about security and compliances, okay. So that's another factor, okay. So these are the major challenges actually come into picture when we are trying to onboard this. That's what actually extending to what actually Raj has mentioned. Now, when actually we are doing this particular, if I keep this particular loopholes, okay, and without that, this actually I start trying to onboard this particular platforms on my AI and ML platforms, what is going to happen? Okay, I am actually going to expose my complete data, number one. I am actually going to expose my data which is incompatible, mainly in a silos, okay. Maybe actually I am poisoning my data, okay, or I am actually taking a decision which is mainly not actually data driven, but advisory decision. So this is actually leading that we are actually stabbing our own systems, our own DevOps, and our own predictions, okay. Second part, if you take a look at many of the systems when actually we onboard, as Raj mentioned very clearly, that the authentication is actually one of the problem, okay. But along with that, if you take a look at authentication, so first thing, we need to ensure that when actually we are onboarding the API, so it's not about application, it's about APIs, because when actually we talk about the AI ML DevOps implementation, there are many APIs actually we consume from other third parties. Specifically, if a LMS system, if I take a look at upGrad or LearningMate, we don't actually build our content. It actually come from somebody else. Okay, and there are certain specific defined standards like a LTI and other stuff. Okay, now when we are actually integrating these systems, we need to ensure that when we are building this into the DevOps, okay, AI ML DevOps, we need to ensure that they are or JWT tokens are being clearly used, so that I am actually not exposing my APIs to that vulnerability. Okay, as well as if you take a look at, I always recommend that most of the time what happens when we do the pen testing, okay, that pen testing should happen at the API level, so that any of the legacy system when it's getting onboarded, pen testing should happen thoroughly at the API level as well. Okay, now when actually I talk about the compliance and security, as everybody knows that for healthcare we actually talk about HIPAA. Then as a part of the education system, we use a different standard in different countries. Like in UK, we actually use the GDPR. If it comes to the US education, is a FERPA. Okay, this is why actually this is required, because where actually PI data can get exposed. I think if you take a look at recently, PowerSchool, which is one of the largest SIS and education platform provider in US, got sued for multi-billion dollars from a Wisconsin state. Okay, because the data got exposed of a PII data. Okay, and that's one of the very, very big vulnerability. Similarly, if you take a look at in a 2020, okay, one of the big company called K-12, okay, they had a very specific implementation. They were the wonderful company, #1 company at that time. One incident, and that actually completely ruined the complete company. Okay, so why? Again, it comes to the security of a data. That's the reason if you take a look at when it comes to the US, okay, or UK education, the PI data and security is very much required. And if you are using the legacy system which are not compatible to that, specifically at API level, specifically at the exposure level, data level, that is actually very much important. Okay, so first thing, if you take a look at whenever actually they are interacting with the API, data has to be encrypted. So if application doesn't do it, we need to create the service layer which actually can encrypt the data and ensure that that doesn't actually expose. Nowadays, if you take a look at AWS and as well as Azure and as well as Google, they actually come out with the services which actually can ensure that what actually data you are trying to expose is a PII compliant or not. Okay. So that actually ensures that when actually you're exposing it or when actually you're integrating with any application, your data gets automatically integrated. Along with that, if you take a look at last point, this is about the, as actually we expose our legacy systems, okay, we are actually exposing them to a multiple attacks. Whether actually is a SQL injection or the systems might actually have done that. But we should actually look at the zero level trust security at the API level so that when actually any data is getting out, getting interacted or DevOps actually getting used, when actually AlI-ML data is actually using, we should be able to do that. Okay. Now, this is about the mitigation point of view. Okay. The next question actually which you given, which actually has three scenarios I have, which our friend Ashish has mentioned. Okay. So, as a LearningMate, okay, we are actually serving one of the K-12 education service provider, which has implementation across 7 continents. Okay. Now, with the 7 continents, we are having around 20 million students accessing our platform. Now, can I actually, will it actually help me to have a centralized DevOps implementation? It's not. What actually is required, I need to have a distributed DevOps implementation. Okay. And of course, we are actually using the Datadogs specifically for monitoring and proactive monitoring using AI to identify these particular issues. Okay. That's the number one. Number two, when actually we are doing this, so every continent or every country has a different school start year. So if you take a look at the students, as we actually when we were students, we know that we might actually not read the books complete totally every day of a year. Okay. But we will actually ensure that we will go and open and at least scan through the pages on a first day of a school day. Okay. So you can just imagine that what will be the peak load we will be having at that time. Now, having the complete deployment at a centrally will not actually help. So we need to have the way actually we are having a distributed DevOps implementation, we need to have a distributed workload at a different places. Okay, so that's one of the challenge. So here if you take a look at, we have actually created the, very specifically we try to identify that how we can actually distribute our load, okay, using AI, so that at that time we can do the auto scaling of our AWS instances, specifically for that region, and ensure that the same message goes back to our content providers so that this many users are going to connect at this particular moment so that you are actually scaled. Okay. Next question, if you take a look at, which is about the edge computing. Okay. So, as most of you must be aware that in US, as part of the K-12 education, every students get the midday meal. Of course, we get in India as well.
Abdulla, we need to keep time in constraint. Okay. So, last 10 seconds. Okay.
So, yeah, that's the last one, yes, sorry. So here if you take a look at another aspect which actually US government takes in, that we should not have waste in the food specifically. So how actually they will calculate what food is required, because food needs to be delivered to the student after 3 or 4 hours. And that food needs to be delivered from the catering services to them. So there is a very small period, okay. And that's where actually they start. So as an age, so in US, if you take a look at the bus goes to every student's house, they pick them up. So they actually implemented the age system there so that the attendance of the students doesn't happen at the school. It actually happens of the onboarding of that. So they actually get the prediction that how many students actually are going to join the school. So by the time actually they reach to the school, the school already ordered the catering services automatically.
That's great. Seems to be great experience over there. As we are running our time over there. One last question that I'm having it, and maybe Ashish and Mukesh, you can throw some light. We have seen that right now, any use cases where you have seen that you have taken the action into the DevOps, into the real time over there, things are going live, but your system somewhere, your modern DevOps system, AI/ML based system, show you certain kind of anomaly and you have to take the decision, real-time decision into that part. Maybe Ashish, and if you can just throw some lights upon that part, because real-time is now a kind of buzzword over there. So anything that you have taken, anything which you are having into your centralized repository,
Right.
30 seconds. Ashish.
First, I think my centralized observability was, kind of misunderstood. So what I mean to say, you need a centralized visualization, right? There could be a data orchestration layer. So I will again touch across the data orchestration layer. So what we do, there is a data flow modeling, right? You use kind of Kafka as your message broker. On top of Kafka, you use Apache NiFi, Apache NiFi or Airflow, right? Your Apache NiFi and Airflow can talk with multi-cloud workloads, right? Multi-cloud workload, and they have that Unity catalog kind of concept, right? So Apache NiFi, it can cater multiple data format. Also, it has a processing task.
Yes, sure.
It has a processing task, so it can does the transformation, it can process the data to the right format, and it can give back to the vector DB, right? It can give back to the vector DB milbus, or it has a out-of-box adapter. So in your case, you mentioned about the real-time anomalies or abnormalities, right? So edge computing, I think most we do for our manufacturing, right? Manufacturing. So what we have, the sensors continuously monitor the vibrations of the machines.
Heartbeat, yes.
Right. In case of security also, unusual patterns, unusual behavior, right?
Yeah.
So there are multiple threats. So you have that AI/ML kind of algorithm who's continuously monitor this kind of threat detection.
Sure.
This kind of threat detection. So what do you do? There is something called as a predictive analytics. Right? So predictive analytics, again, you're forecasting something, right? You're forecasting something. So you need to proactively, you kind of learn the application error, the application warnings, etc. And based on the AI/ML model, the CNN, RNN, or kind of Jain AI capability, so you take certain actions. So you can transform those to the task management, and tasks to activities, activities to action. Then there is something like preventive analytics, right? Preventive analytics. Before that error occurs or your business operation goes down, proactively you need to resolve those issues.
Sure.
Then there is something like kind of RC analysis, right? So we are troubleshooting something, and you go on the problem management concept. You go and crawl your data. And you take certain decision on root cause analysis.
Sure.
Then there is something like security and threat detection. So cross-site scripting, SQL injection, open web application, security practices, etc.
Okay.
So those kind of, like I say, that is what you say, like intelligent observability platforms can help you.
Nice statement. Intelligent observability. We are hearing about observability. Now there is an intelligent observability kind of. Although I know that the time is up as of now. Even if you could have given us 2 hours, the kind of fellow panelists that I am having it, we can continue this discussion for the hours of now. But yes, keeping time in constraint, I would like to thank you all my fellow panelists, Ashish, Raj, Mukesh, and Vijay over there. Thank you for sharing your valuable insight. Thank you very much, audience, for listening to us with such a great patience and all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kapil sir, for moderating the session so well. And thank you to all our panelists. Do we have any questions? One question we can take.
You can ask.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm Dinesh from General Mills. So I have one question, right? So like we see, right, this AI is being embedded in each and every technology nowadays, right? So if AI itself is giving me a code, right, or AI is helping me to write the code, or developers, right, to write the code. So how effective it would be, right, to use this AI ML power DevOps, or maybe to invest in these IAC tools or scanning tools, because AI itself is giving me code. That means it should be, it should be secured, and it should be like, it should provide me proper code right over there. So how this will help me, or maybe how effective it would be to invest on other tools, right, in this pipeline overall?
Sure, I can take this question. So yes, I think we've been doing experiment, and just I think it was about 7 months back we went live with AI-driven code written completely, and we went live around those. So definitely it's possible. But when you're talking about this part, like AI-driven code, secure and everything, it's the code. The purpose of that is to run the code. The application is running, right? When I talk about DevOps part of it, that it still need to be. It can also be automated code, but that will be on top of it. But then at the same time, like machine learning code, which will be able to observe the patterns of the usage and everything, so that it can predict that the usage is going to go up. So start provisioning more machines, start provisioning more resources. So those things will be there. So all those things can be orchestrated. And when we orchestrate all this together, that's where the agentic AI come into picture. And that's where the experiment is going on. Most likely next month, we are going to go live with agentic AI as well, which includes 7 different set of tools generating code, and agentic AI orchestrating between those two, and then we can go live with those part. And I would not say 100% quality. I would still say it's above 80%. And if a human is looking at it, some of those pieces, and 2 humans look at the same code differently, right? And then we're doing those part, and then bringing that additional layer, so that the quality also can go high about it. So some of the things, they're already live, some of them currently going on, and that's the future is going to be look like. We'll be more caretaker or babysitters of these agents, rather than actually doing the development and coming up with the only ideas about what we want to build. The coding can be done with AI. So I think it's much nearer than we can think. Another 2-3 years, it will be, I would say, common practice to have this.
Just to add what Mukesh said, when you are talking about AI and ML, one thing we should keep in mind is you need to train your models based on your data, right? So that itself makes it unique for your particular use case and for your particular industry. And basis on the previous data, it will try to predict and try to kind of correct it. So you need to take that as, keep that into mind, that how effective your previous data is, or how effective your training data is, so that it can predict in a right manner, both the coding part as well as your observability part.
Thank you.
Hello. So let's remove AI ML power DevOps. Let's talk about normal DevOps. So in normal DevOps, we use lots of infrastructure, like it generates lots of energy, carbon emissions from the machines, okay? And if we include AI ML power DevOps, so we are adding more computations, more GPUs, and more hardware. So as an industry leader, I'm just asking what should be the initiative for green IT? Like we are talking about AI ML DevOps, but in different side, it is releasing carbons and lots of harmful energies that may destroy our Mother Earth. So what should be the initiative for green IT?
I think I'll take this question. Yeah. Good question. Since AI ML again required a lot of skilled and competency resource inside, right? And also it required a huge resource requirement, GPUs, etc. So what you can do, there are low-code, no-code tools, ML Flow, Lang Flow, and DiFi. Okay. So they are natively embedded with all these models. Okay. Only you need to focus on RAG framework, whatever internal processes or whatever internal documentation or internal data. Okay. So they are AI-driven workflow. Just drag and drop. Okay. And the outcome is a vector DB. Okay. So use those tools. Use the out-of-box models, okay. Create your vector DB, okay. Create your vector DB, then you don't need any other infrastructure. It provides REST API. Just connect those REST API with whatever your legacy application or existing application. It will meet your requirement. There is no more investment. So low code, no code, AI-driven workflow. You can do Lang Flow. It's very easy. There are a lot of open source tools. DiFi,
Yeah, but at the end, these third-party providers have to take care about green IT, right? Means we are just their consumers. But I'm just asking in general, like, is there any framework or is there any structure are we going to follow in future to promote green IT and reduce carbon emissions? Just and also it should not disturb our ROI.
So, yeah, so what we have done at Capgemini, we have an initiative called Responsible AI, and as part of that AI, right, last 2 years I've been conducted multiple workshops at IIT already on this topic, and it was all about going back to the basics of mathematics. So just a simple example I'll give, and all will be able to understand what the green IT, with the right word it is, right, how you can be more responsible AI. Simple experiment. You open an Excel file, let's say you have 10,000 rows. You want to do an average, you will put an average function at the bottom. Simple. You make one change in the data, the average will be recalculated. Why? Why should you recalculate? Instead of average function, if I use the function which is sum and the count, you could have just done a division. And instead of changing the value, if you have just made a plus or minus, 10,000 times less compute. Right? So those basic, going back to the fundamentals, that why do we need to retrain the model? What can we do surgical retraining of the model? And when we focus on the delta, because we are used to, again, spoiled, because we have all the powers in the world, on the laptop, we are able to retrain everything and all without thinking about it. Can we be stingy on just doing those parts? So we created this model, and I've been teaching those across, and I'm trying to bring that awareness. I also did this session at United Nations last year, where I talked about how each of this can be done in the curriculum level. Wherein, hopefully at upGrad also we can do this. At the curriculum level, where we are teaching the kids at the right time that, you have to be responsible for what you're writing, and don't just say, retrain the model. You can be better than that. So that's what one of the initiatives we are doing at Capgemini called Responsible AI. And I think I'm getting good responses from IITs and all to do this workshop on basics of mathematics, which can be used for better AI. I think once people start using it, maybe they'll get this more.
Yeah. Thank you. So it should be collective responsibility for all of us to promote green IT.
I will add 2 points. One is like data centers itself. They are becoming more responsible and green in that sense, right? So apart from their other initiatives, reducing the energy and those things are part of their normal course. Another part is now with the event of new models coming in, sometime back open ChatGPT model was compute intensive. Now, because this DeepSeek moment has happened, now people have realized that can be done in a much lesser amount of compute, right? So this revolution is going to happen, and eventually people will reduce the compute power, for doing the same task. Yeah.
Guys, nowadays there are no more LLM, there are SLM. So Microsoft Pi 4, small language model. So you can install in your mobile phone. You work on that model.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I would like to call upon stage Mr. Jaspreet Singh Nandre, Strategic Account Executive at Datadog, to do the honors. Can we have a big round of applause? To our moderator, Kapil Singhal.